Please explain what emotional intelligence is. Define it for us.
Crying for 6 months.
This is a test.
Oh, yeah.
This station is conducting a test of the emergency broadcasting system. This is only a test.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak.
This
Turn it up
is a
a third
test.
degree.
This
Bitch,
is
you
only
ain't
a
seen
test.
anything.
Is men are more mentally stable than women are. We're able to control our emotions better.
Because you guys are more logical.
Okay, so someone said we're not emotionally intelligent.
Emotionally unintelligent.
We're emotionally unintelligent.
Unintelligent.
I feel like society.
Please
puts,
explain
like, a
what
stigma.
emotional intelligence is. Define it for us.
Crying for 6 months.
Define emotional intelligence for us, please.
I think emotional intelligence is to be able
You
to.
think or you know?
I think.
Okay,
I don't
so-
know the Webster.
So you're
definition.
using a word. You're using a definite. You're using a word you don't know the definition of.
Do you know the definition of it?
It's a
Webster?
made up word. There is no definition. That's why I'm asking you.
So I was gonna put like my thoughts.
It's a buzz term used by women to describe some type of moral hierarchy. Like, oh, I have more emotional intelligence than you, but no one can actually really define it because it's not real.
Challenge accepted. Now let me start this off by first showing a video of two fighting juggernauts, Kimbo Slice and Michael Jai White. Why did he smile? Understanding emotional intelligence, you'll be able to answer that question easily. If for every yin there is a yang, and for every up there's a down, and for every light side there's a dark side, we may be able to assume that for most things known to man, there is an opposite. And depending on which side you find yourself on, there is a tendency to advocate vehemently that your side is the A side. So in this case, there are two principles that are considered to be opposites of one another. That is logic and emotion. Now, the stereotype attributed to men is that men are more logical than women, and the stereotype attributed to women is that women are more emotional than men. However, there are women that could be more inclined toward logic than their male counterparts, and there are men that could be more emotional than their female counterparts. So nothing is definitive. However, I understand the observation that men tend to be more logical. But the issue is when a logical person believes that intellect only resides on the side that they are inclined toward. So in this case, Myron argues that there's no such thing as emotional intelligence.
It's a buzz term used by women to describe some type of moral hierarchy. Like, oh, I have more emotional intelligence than you, but no one can actually really define it because it's not real.
But what exists in one opposite also exists in the other. For just as water and fire are considered opposites, there are pluses and minuses in both. And the benefit or the detriment is determined by which element is used in a given circumstance. So whether you find yourself on the side of logic or the side of emotion, this is simply an explanation as to what emotional intelligence is, which really is also a kind of logic. Emotional intelligence is the difference between
What's up?
and
What's up?
one is a greeting and the other is someone checking your temperature. Believe it or not, men can display a more profound grasp of emotional intellect than women. Emotional intelligence is the ability to discern the emotional state of someone as well as the potential outcomes that can manifest as a result of administering a logical assessment or decision in an emotionally volatile environment. For example, there were a lot of men who were upset with Kevin Samuels for this one.
I want to talk to you.
Okay. What are we talking about?
Well, what do you rate me?
Is that what we're starting off with?
Yeah.
Do you think the men rate women?
No, I thought, because isn't that what you do?
What have you seen of my content? Have you just seen like the clips?
Yeah. I think I always see people calling you and then you tell them, you ain't no such and such. You lying to yourself. You ain't this.
What I typically don't do is I don't typically rate people. I ask if they rate themselves. I usually ask these questions.
So let's start it that way.
Yeah. How tall are you?
I'm 5'3".
Dress size?
My dress size?
Mhm.
Fender Don said, like, my dress size? That's a good question. I guess a 4?
All right. And on a scale from 1 to 10, you can't use 7. What would you rank yourself?
7.
Can't use 7. That's why 7 is the most common answer.
Really?
It's the default answer for most people because they don't want to go too high, they don't want to go too low.
Well, no, it ain't a default answer for me.
Well, let's see.
It was at this moment that Kevin Samuels went off script. Notice that before he gives his assessment, he's not even looking at her. He's looking up and to his left. What could he be thinking about?
I'll give you a 9. I will give you 9 because you have the facial symmetry and you get additional points for eyes, full lips. See, it's not, I'm an actual image consultant. And I'm sure you deal with a lot of people who take your pictures and stuff and so forth. You have a symmetrical face. And so it's much more based upon facial symmetry. It's not based on European beauty standards or anything like that. It's much more based upon what babies, animals, human beings have evolved to find attractive.
So if Beyonce is an 8 and Kelly Rowland is a 9, did Kevin Samuels really believe that Nicki Minaj is universally preferred by men over Beyonce? No, but Kevin Samuels also had emotional intelligence, and I believe that he displayed it in this exchange. Because smart is knowing what to say. Wisdom is knowing whether or not to say it. But why would a wise man not say it if it was the truth? Because he's emotionally intelligent and understands the Pandora's box level outcome that he would have to deal with had he answered her question the way that many men wanted him to. We look into someone's eyes and determine whether or not they want to be bothered. We listen to voice inflection and determine the spirit behind the delivery. We observe silence and weigh the possible reasons as to the causes for it. Are they annoyed? Are they thinking? Are they plotting on you? Where logic is usually linear and conclusions can be assumed by considering the preponderance of the facts, emotional intelligence is considering human nature, whether there are facts to back it up or not. Between men and women couples, emotional intelligence is something that men definitely have a tendency to display a greater understanding of than today's modern women who believe that men don't feel as much as women do. Oh, but I beg to differ. Men feel, and they can feel very deeply. But when men are conditioned to display stoicism in the presence of women, she can get the impression that he doesn't feel at all. And had she been emotionally intelligent,
we got in a fight. First thing she does is threatening that she's going to do the same thing. You're never going to see your kids, blah, blah, blah.
She would recognize a man who is on edge and not threaten him with the idea of never seeing his children. But having emotional understanding is the reason that she made the threat, which was done for the purposes of hitting him where she knew it would hurt him. But had she been intelligent, she would have understood what he was capable of, should he be pushed over the edge. This is emotional intelligence.